my working language is many used in English.
In English?
Yeah.
And what is it that you wonder about English?
Why some English was origin Latin.
Where some words come from?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that you use the word origin. Where do some words come from? All right. Let's see what we can find. So let's see. Oh, okay. So we can, is there any specific words we want to talk? Any specific words we want to talk about? Which words? Which words are we thinking about? What do you think? Do you have a specific word you want to know?
Represent.
Tell me again.
Represent.
Represent.
Yeah, represent.
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 Good job. Okay, you want to know where that word comes from?
Yeah.
Do you have a word like that in Japanese?
Represent.
Do you know what the word represent means?
Represent means represent means mean I represent class's opinion.
Good. I like that you're going to use it in a sentence. Good. So it can mean to, like if you represent something, right? Do you represent your country?
Yeah.
Right? I represent Japan. Because when I am here, people see me and they think this is someone who's from Japan, right?
Yeah.
I represent teachers.
Yeah.
Good. That's a good way to think about the word. Yeah, good point. So you want to know where that word comes from? Why do you want to know where that word comes from?
Because represent used many times.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. I like that you are good today. We are talking about words and talking. Do you have something we need help with? We're all caught up, right? On work? You're all caught up?
Nothing.
We're just, I asked Takahiro and he said he would like to practice talking today. Does that sound like a, that sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Takuma, do you talk a lot when you're in school? You do? You talk often to your friends?
Yeah.
You do? What do you talk about? Because whenever I ask Takuma a question, he does that. He goes, Do your friends at school ask you questions? Do your friends at school ask you questions? Do you know what I'm asking right now? Do they ask you questions? Do they say, what is that like in Japan? What did you do at your old school? What's your favorite food? No?
No.
What do you talk about with your friends?
At home.
Homework?
Yeah.
Okay, so they help you with classwork?
Yeah.
Just like I do? You talk about homework? Oh, do you talk about anything fun? Do you talk about fun?
Yeah.
Do you know what the word fun means? All right, tell me about, you can sit on the desk. Tell me about fun. What fun stuff do you talk about?
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you talk about that's interesting? Remember last week we talked about interesting things? What did we talk about? We talked about surfing and the beach. Remember that conversation that we had? Do you talk about that with your friends? Takuma, do your friends know you surf?
Yeah.
They do? You told them you surf? Say, Miss Cullinghouse, I told them I surf. Say it. Say, Miss Kellinghouse, I told them I surf.
Caring house.
I
I
told
told
them
Then
I surf.
I surf.
Good job. So you told your friends you surf. They know
They
that you surf. They know. Good. All right. Okay. We were just talking about a word, a specific word. Represent. Do you know that word? Takahiro, he wants to know where that word comes from. Do you have that word in Japanese? Represent. Can you say represent? Represent.
represent.
Good. Takahiro, you say represent.
Represent.
Good. Yeah, there's a P in it. Represent.
Represent.
Good job. Okay. So we want to know where the word represent came from. That's what we're looking for. All right. And the reason we want to know that, so we can figure out the word. What word do you have in Japanese that means to represent?
Daihyo.
Does that sound right?
Mm.
Okay. All right. So represent means, okay, to depict or to portray. So that means to be a visual for or to portray. So like I'm a visual for teachers. I represent teachers. So when people see me, they go, oh, that's a teacher. So then they think teachers must be like me. Right? Okay. So also represent means, right, to describe. To describe something. Do you know what the word describe means? We hear that word in English. You don't have English class right now. Takuma, not yet. To describe, your English teacher asked you to describe things with details.
Yeah.
Describe means to tell what it looks like, what it sounds like, right? So that to give detail, right? To describe. So sometimes we might represent something with details. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right. So I want to have a practice conversation. I'm going to let you two talk to each other in English. In English. I love when you make that phrase. We're going to talk about a tradition. A tradition. And we're going to talk about a tradition that represents Japan. We're going to talk about a tradition. Do we know what the word tradition means?
I don't know.
Oh, that's okay. We do. We talked about this earlier today. Okay. Earlier today we talked about culture.
Culture.
Good. Do you know what that word
Yeah.
means? Do you know what that word means, right? What is culture?
Food, yeah,
Good.
and music.
Music, right? Good.
Language.
Good job. Language. Yeah, good job. Language. So there are things that make up our culture, right? So if I ask you and I said, I want you to think about some kind of tradition, okay? And if you've never heard the word tradition before, a tradition is a custom, something that you do in your culture, like each year. Something, so jack-o'-lanterns, pumpkins, that's a tradition in American culture, right? You said even in Japanese culture, you have Halloween.
Yeah.
So Halloween is a culture tradition. I want you to think of a tradition that is part of Japanese culture, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to talk together and decide what is a tradition that you have in Japanese culture that you could share with your classmates. So first you got to talk to each other in English, so it might take you a minute thinking about how to I want you to choose a culture tradition, something that you think you do in that Japanese culture has, something you do in Japan that you think is really fun, and you could share it with your classmates. You could tell your classmates about it, and then they would be able to see how that tradition represents Japan. Okay? So I'm going to give you a few minutes. I want you guys to talk about that in English. Yes, I know, Takuma. In English, I want you to talk about a tradition from Japan. And then I will get in on your conversation. But I want you to talk first. All right, go ahead.
漢字、ひらがな、カタカナ、samurai.
That doesn't sound like English to me.
Japanese main culture.
Cherry flower.
Cherry flower, yeah. Sushi. Other Japanese kimono.
Firework.
Yeah, firework. I think it's origin Holland. Holland, Netherlands. Japanese culture. Castle. A mountain. Fuji. Other Japanese culture.
Okay, I want you to choose just one of them that you've mentioned and talk about what you would tell the class about that one thing. So choose one of them. Which one's your favorite that you've talked about? Takuma, which one do you think would be the most fun to tell your class? Fun. You know what the word fun means. Which one would you like to tell your class about? Which one of those?
I think Kinkaku. Temple Kinkaku. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
It's made by gold.
It's made by the gods?
Gold. Really gold.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. What else could you tell the class about it? Okay.
I think Japanese sword.
Japanese sword.
Oh, swords?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I understood what you were saying. So Japanese swords. Do they have swords in the temple? Is this a temple, right?
Yeah.
Is this a temple? What is the temple for, Takuma? Why do we have this temple in Japan?
Because we for God.
Huh?
We in God.
For prayer?
Pray for God.
For God.
Yeah.
Prayer for God. So, Takuma, tell me where this temple is in Japan. Do you remember?
Middle Japan.
In Middle Japan. Good. Okay. So that people can come from all over to see it.
Yeah.
Have you been to the temple?
Yeah.
You have. Did you think it was fun? Was it beautiful? What did you think when you went to the temple?
This temple is beautiful, but not fun.
Not fun, just beautiful. How old were you when you went?
30.
Okay. 12. You went with who? Whom did you go with? Who took you to the temple? Do you know what I'm asking? Who did you go to the temple with? Yes.
My elementary school friends.
Oh, it was a field trip?
Yeah.
It was a field trip. And what did you do when you were at the temple? What did you do while you were there? So when you got there, what did you do? Did you just walk around? Did you look at it? Did you go inside?
We cannot go to inside, so walking around.
Good, okay. Takahiro, have you been to the temple?
Yeah, sure.
Good, okay. Tell me about when you went to the temple.
I went here with my family.
Good.
This temple in the city Kyoto,
Mhm.
it's about 1,000 years long city, very old city. So many old buildings in there, temple, palace, and house. So it's very amazing city.
Wow, okay. So you got to go with your parents. Did you learn about all the things when you were at the temple? Yeah. Do you want to say something else? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have something else to say? Oh, no. Okay. All right. I think it's cool that you guys did all that.